Good afternoon. Actually, it's not afternoon. It's exactly noon on Tuesday when we do the doctor's call with Dr. Kurt Fisnick and his special guest speakers. So we want to welcome you to the call today, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, Doc.
Well, thanks there, Andrea. I sure appreciate you getting on early every Tuesday and welcoming everyone onto the call. My name is Dr. Kurt Fisnick. I'm a chiropractor. I practiced chiropractic health up here in Fargo, North Dakota for over 20 years. And then what happened to me is I got in a really bad motorcycle wreck, and I won't get into that, but I ended up having to sell my practice. I spent a couple of years recovering from the accident. And during the time that I was recovering, I decided not to go back into chiropractic, and I actually went into age reversal medicine. And for those of you that have heard me speak before, you've heard me say that I call it age reversal really because when you think of anti anything, it means stop or don't do it, right? And so when you stop aging, basically what you're doing is then you start dying, right? I mean, we're always aging, and so what we want to have is we want to have age reversal rather than anti-aging. So just something that I try and tell people, and it gets their interest, it gets them to listen to what you're having to say when you say it that way, and so that's what I started calling it. And really, I got into this whole thing a few years even before that. I've just never really wanted to get any older, right? Who wants to get older? After the age of 18 or maybe 21, it seems like after that, nobody really wants to get older. A lot of women, they lie about their age and all of that. They just don't want to get older. And even men, they've decided that they don't want to get any older now either. They don't want to get older. They don't want to act older. They don't want to look older. And so we start looking at that. And so that's really what got me looking at what I'm doing. And then after my motorcycle wreck, I spent a couple of years in a wheelchair. They told me that I probably would never walk again. And so I was looking for a business that I could run out of my home, on the internet, over the phone, things like that. And along the way, I found Sizzle. And for those of you that are familiar with the Sizzle line of products, they really fit right in perfectly with this whole age reversal thing that we're doing, the age reversal movement. And back when I started kind of dabbling in it, it really wasn't a popular thing. You talk about age reversal, and people would look at you kind of with a little bit of a kind of a side-eyed look, like what are you talking about? And it wasn't one of those things that really was popular back then. But now, holy cow! The other day, last Friday, I was at the gym, and the TV was on at the gym, and there was Dr. Oz, and on his show, Deepak Chopra and another doctor talking about anti-aging, talking about the immune system, how important the immune system is on the whole process of creating a way of slowing down the aging process. And then they brought on, somebody from L'Oreal, and she talked about, appearance and keeping the appearance of aging slowed down. And it's everywhere. I mean, you go to the supermarket and look at the magazine stand as you're checking out. I'll bet half the magazines have at least one title on there that has something to do with age reversal or anti-aging or stop aging, look younger now, act younger now. I mean, you just can't go anywhere where they aren't talking about the whole subject of slowing down the aging process. And so we're in it at the right time, and the beauty of it is that, we're not just in it at the right time, but our company, Sizzle, has been in it for the right amount of time. We've, I say we, but Tom and Tom Jr., the biochemist, the head biochemist out at Sizzle, have really been working on this for a long time. some of the science that Tom has. He's been collecting data in his head for the last 20, 30 years, and really it's all coming together with modern technology, modern biotechnology, and that we have discovered new molecules, new things that can really fit exactly the market of what we're looking and it completes these formulations that Tom's been working on in his head. And we take a look at the age pill, for example. Some of the science that Tom's been collecting came from his first visits to China, 20 years ago, where he was able to get his hands on some of the documents from the Yellow Emperor, and that partial formulation is what's in the age pill, and then combined with modern technology, it's what made it possible that we actually have what we have in our hands right now with the age pill, and it's just amazing. And you look at the emperors, the Chinese emperors from long ago. They've really been collecting and accumulating data on age reversal for a long time, for centuries, maybe even thousands of years. And there's Chinese emperors that are claimed to have lived over 300 years, and there's emperors that have lived. Some of the emperor's assistants have lived 100, 200 years, and so some of these ingredients, these exotic ingredients, have been known about for a long time, but they just didn't. There was no science on them because nobody had a way of really going in and scientifically figuring out exactly how does that work, what does it do to the body, and so today, the perfect storm, we've got that, and that's what really sets us apart when we take a look at Sizzle compared to any other company that's on the market. I look at other companies that have similar type products in the same field as what we have in the same product category, and really, some of these companies have some good products, but they just don't stand up to what we have over here. And part of it is because we've got the real science. The other thing is that because we own our own manufacturing company, we have this huge buying power. Tom and his crew out there, they don't just own Sizzle, as a family-owned business, but they also have one of the largest, I think, the largest nutritional manufacturing company in the United States and one of the largest in the world. And they manufacture products for hundreds of companies, and so that gives them a lot of buying power. And then with that, because of that, we can eliminate some of those middlemen and really bring a lot of great products to market. So for those of you who are listening and have never heard that before, that's exactly why you want to be part of what we have over here. Later this spring here, around the end of April, we're actually putting together a red carpet event for some of us that are going to go out there and visit the manufacturing. And someday I recommend that everybody get out there and see that, because it'll just blow you away on how these products are actually made. But really today, what we wanted to talk about is optimizing stem cell activity within your body, making it so the stem cells can actually come to life and rework your body, rebuild and repair, and that's really I think one of the secrets of aging is having the repair mechanism work the way it's supposed to work, rebuild the way it's supposed to rebuild, and what happens is that over time, gunk, we'll just simply call it gunk, it accumulates in your cells, and what it does, it makes it so that the mitochondria, which are kind of the power plant, the nuclear power plant of your cell, and it makes it so that the nuclear power plant just doesn't operate as efficiently as what it should. And when you don't have the power, then your body's not going to be able to repair. And so what happens is that when your nuclear power plants say they're running on 50% efficiency, what's happening is that all of the energy that's being produced is being going into doing the repair, but it doesn't have enough to do repair and provide you with the energy that you have during the day. So one of the main things that as a physician that I've seen in my practice over the course of the last 30 years is that people come in and they say, "Doc, I just don't have any energy. It feels like I'm just being drained every single day." And I have to explain to them, look, here's what's happening is that your body's spending all its energy trying to repair you, trying to fix things up. And because it's doing that, you're not going to have the energy that you need to function. And when you have dysfunction, then you're going to start to have health issues. And that's exactly what we see today is that people are sick and tired. I mean, you can't walk around, go to the store and ask people if they have any health issues. Ask if they're having any issues dealing with stress. And if you know the 7 major symptoms of stress, and you start asking, do you have headaches? Do you have stress? Do you have fatigue? Do you find that you can't sleep right? Do you find that you're gaining weight? Do you find that you have lack of energy? Do you have allergies? Do you have pain, chronic pain? Do you have digestive issues? Do you have breathing issues? And all of these different things, these are symptoms of stress. Your body's being stressed out. And when I talk about stress, automatically everybody starts thinking about, oh man, yeah, my husband stressed me out, my wife stressed me out, my kids stressed me out, my job, lack of money, all these different things. And those are all emotional stress factors, but stress is also created by chronic chemical stress, stress from our food, and you'll hear me talk about the food that we eat way too much sugar. If we take a look at one of the things that's happened over the course of the last 150 years is that our sugar consumption is way up. Back in the early 1900s, the average American consumed about 12 pounds of sugar per year, about a pound per month per person, and now we're consuming somewhere over 150 pounds of sugar per year per person. So that's over 10 pounds of sugar per month that the average American is consuming. And what sugar does is it triggers a number of things to happen, but bottom line is it causes the stem cells so they won't have the right activity. Without getting into a lot of science behind it, but it creates glycation, and then we look at all the processed fats, and that creates lipofuscin, and these things slow down the stem cell activity. And so I brought a friend of mine, actually a business partner of mine, Dr. Kim Schunkweiler. Were you able to get on, Dr. Kim?
I'm here, Kurt. I'm sorry I'm late. You know, I've been taking this H pill now for a little over 4 months, and I have actually got my brain cells regressing back to the point where I didn't pay much attention to the clock. So that's it's an amazing thing in one way, but another way it's making me late for things. So I apologize.
Well, what happens is that as you get older, Dr. Kim, the brain starts to slow down a little bit. You don't function, you don't process things as properly. And naturally, when somebody like yourself, you continue to take on the activity that you did, the amount of activities that you did back, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it does slow things down. So it's nice that here you are, now after taking the H pill, I know that you've told me in the past, you're able to start getting some of those things, those multitasking activities back indoors. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It really is. Like I said, I've been on it a little over 4 months, and I continue to see improvement. It's pretty amazing. Not that I'm that vain, but I walk by a mirror and I look at it and sometimes don't recognize the person I see in the mirror because it looks kind of like I did 10 years ago. So it's really starting to have an amazing effect, and I'm starting to get comments from people, and they'll just if I haven't seen them for a while, they'll just kind of look at me and kind of move their head around and Doc, you look good. What have you been doing? You know, I get that quite a bit, and of course that's a great opportunity for me to tell them about the H pill and what it can do for them also.
You bet.
Well, we're talking about
Well,
we're talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Dr. Kim, so one of the things that you and I are working on is bringing stem cells to the general public, bringing this whole stem cell medical treatment. We've teamed up with a doctor, a couple doctors, and we're going to bring this to two people, not just up in Detroit area or here in Fargo, but we're really looking at bringing it around the country in various locations. So you and I have been talking about optimizing a person's health and optimizing them as far as making it so that the stem cell treatments will work better. And so as we're looking at that, one of the things that you and I talked about is that, sometimes people say, well, Doc, I've been taking the H pill and I'm not seeing the kind of results that I see these testimonials on Facebook and on other, social media. And they ask me, they say, Doc, what's going on with that? So Dr. Kim, when somebody says that, what's really going on in their body? What might be happening that they're not noticing some of the
Yeah. Well, here's what I find. The number one thing is they're not taking it the way they were directed to take it.
What do you mean? They're skipping a dose once in a while? Nobody would do that.
Oh yeah, they do that. And they won't. I recommend all my patients to start at if they're over 40, I ask them to double dose for 3 months. Double up. Let's start getting rid of all that accumulated stuff. You've had 40, 50, 60 years to accumulate all this glycation and lipofuscin, and you've got a lot of it. You got to help. You got to really flush the system, and so I try to get them to double up, and then I finally find out what they're taking, or they're taking 3 a day, or it's you got to do what it takes to get the job done, or else you can't expect to get the results. I mean, you'll eventually get the results, but if you want to get the results quicker, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And plus, you get people that are even doing that, and they might take a little bit longer to see results. They're probably just so, and you use the word crudded up with stuff over all the years of accumulating, that it's just going to take a little longer for them to start cleaning out. It's really important to understand that this is a huge problem with people. This accumulated glycation basically is the aging process. It's going to retard the growth of new stem cells. You're not healed. You're not going to function like you could once you get rid of that stuff. So that's
the other thing, Dr. Kim, is that when we take a look at it, and I remember in my practice, people would say, "Oh, how come all of a sudden my back started hurting?" And I look at it and say, "We really, if you're 50 years old, 40 years old, 60 years old, it's usually not all of a sudden. It's an accumulation type of a thing." And they say, "Yeah, but
Right.
It didn't hurt before. It didn't hurt before." And so the thing about it is that when you take a look at people, there's some hidden things going on behind the scenes. I remember reading in some books a number of years ago, probably about 10, 15 years ago, maybe even longer than that, and they said that you have to lose at least 50% of the function of the organ before it actually starts to show symptoms. And so your kidney, for example, if your kidney's dysfunctioning and you're starting to have issues that are showing up, with poor urination or kidney stones and things like that, it was building up for a while. I mean, you were losing function over a number of years, but you didn't necessarily notice any signs of pain. they say that people that have heart attacks, 40% of them die from the heart attack. That's their first symptom that they ever had, is when they fall over dead. 40%. Dr.
Yeah.
Kim, I mean, isn't that just amazing that they didn't notice anything, or maybe they just didn't pay attention to it?
Well, what's that old saying? The straw that broke the camel's back. You know, it keeps adding up, and we don't pay attention to maybe there are little things that we just don't notice. And finally, the body says, "Time out. I've had enough. We got to deal with this." And you know, it's like the engine light on your dashboard. You know, that starts flashing. And of course, the typical response a lot of people get at that point is they rummage around in their glove box and they find a piece of electrical tape and they put it over the light, and then that solves the problem. No, you don't do that. You find out what the problem is with the engine, then you start fixing it. You know, and that's our problem with a lot of the medical technologies. They're just out there covering up symptoms, and you know, we're very fortunate with the product line that we have and what we're doing with stem cells. We can actually start rebuilding people. You know, you can take
That's
your
right.
body and rebuild it, you know, and that's exciting stuff. I mean, you know, I wish
So one of the things that we were talking about, Dr. Kim, is that if you've got inflammation going on in other parts of the body, let's say that you're going to your doctor and he's going to do some stem cell injections, say on a knee, but you've got some underlying conditions going on, say a bad tooth, or you know, maybe something going on there, or maybe you have some clogged up arteries that haven't shown up with any symptoms yet. You know, when you do the stem cell injection, what's the body going to do? I mean, is it going to go to the knee, or is it going to go, hey, there's something worse going on over here. We're actually going to go over here and we'll do some work first.
You know, that's a great question, and I don't know if there's a definitive answer, but I think what's going to happen is the body's going to deal with what it has to deal with first. It's going to always want to protect itself as much as it can and keep itself, you know, going. So, you know, Dr. Z and I have been talking about this, and, you know, we think that if we can, you know, I used the analogy the other day. If you go into and you buy a house and it's an older house that needs fixed up and painted, and you go into the kitchen and there's grease on the wall, and there's you know, chips in the paint and stuff like that. You can just throw paint over that, and it'll look good for a while, maybe. But if the real thing you want to do is you want to go in and you want to clean that wall, you want to get that grease off, you want to patch up the chips in the wall, and then go ahead and paint, right? And that simple analogy, but I think the same thing happens when we're talking about you know, doing stem cell transplants, is that you want to get that area as receptive as possible, you know, before you transplant the stem cells. So the stem cells have a much more likely positive result. They'll go in there, and then they can start engrafting into that tissue and growing and creating the results that we want to see. So, you know, and I think, yeah, and with our products, and you and I were talking about this a while, just not too long ago, we have the ability with the H-pill to go ahead and start, you know, cleaning up that accumulated glycation. We can deal with inflammation with things like Fucoidan and Super Omega and things like that, and then give the body the you know, micronutrients that it needs to start rebuilding with the SpectraMax. And you know, doing my research, I found several studies that talk about how resveratrol can help the stem cells engraft. And there's also a process that goes on in stem cells called, I think it's fucosylation. And that's where they need a fucose molecule. And where's that? Where do we find that at?
The fucose molecule?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's found in the Fucoidan, of course.
Exactly. So we have a tremendous opportunity with the products that we have to you get much better results utilizing stem, and I say utilizing stem cells, but even if you don't transplant stem cells, you're going to do a lot of good for yourself by using these products. So,
you bet. Well, the other thing too,
yeah.
you mentioned resveratrol, and one of the things about resveratrol, Dr. David Sinclair demonstrated this with his work at Harvard, is he found that the resveratrol, when you give it in a high enough dosage, 250 to 300 milligrams per dosage, you find that what it does is it helps switch on the SIRT1 gene. And there's 7 sirtuin genes, and the SIRT1 gene is primarily involved with repair of DNA. And but they found that resveratrol can do that, but if you don't have enough energy, then the resveratrol is not going to do its work. And where does the energy come from? Well, the energy comes from NAD, and you can't just take NAD orally, and so you have to take the resveratrol or the NAD building blocks, and that's where the nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mono nucleotide, that's where they come into place. And those are some of the active ingredients that we find in the H pill. And so the resveratrol and the H pill kind of work hand in hand. And so I tell people when I go out and give my talks, I say if you're going to take 2 products, in my opinion, it's the Eternity and the H pill, because they really work so hand in hand. And, and Dr. Kim, you mentioned the Fucoidan, working hand in hand again with the H pill, and then Harvard had another study. Isn't it amazing how Harvard backs up so many of the things that we're finding? But they had a study that came out. It was 2016. They said that 99% of people are missing key essential trace minerals. 99% of people. And so, Dr. Kim, when you hear that, are you going to just say, yeah, I know what I'm doing with nutrition. I get it from my diet. Is that what you do? Even being a physician, would you say that you get it from your diet?
Of course not. I mean, I learned that a long time ago. I've been supplementing my diet for 45 years or more every day, because it just didn't make sense to me. The plants that we eat, that we get from the store, don't have the same nutrient value they had before. So that's why 99% of people are nutrient deficient, because they just can't get it out of the standard diet. I don't care what anybody says. So I agree with you, Dr. Kurt. We have to be proactive about, if we want to live longer, happier, healthier, we've got to do the things it takes to do that. You just can't hope for it to happen. You've got to work at it. And, sometimes it costs a few bucks to do it, right? But what's the cost of being sick? What's the cost of living not as long as you would like to? You can't get those days back.
Yeah.
So, it really,
yeah.
You've got.
Yeah, that really is the truth. Is that once you get sick, you're then you're spending all your money trying to get healthy again. And didn't the Dalai Lama even have something he said about that not that long ago?
Yeah.
And he said that's what we do, is we spend all our time working so we can make money, so we can retire. And then when we retire, we're so sick because we didn't spend any of our money staying healthy, that now we're spending all our money trying to get back our health, and we don't have time to actually enjoy retirement.
Right.
Kind of paraphrasing what he said.
I had an instructor in chiropractic school who said, it sounded silly at the time because I was young and didn't know anything, but he said, keep your body healthy, because a healthy body don't get sick. And it's so true. Make that investment in your health, and if you feel good, you can accomplish so much more. That this little investment in your health is going to pay off tremendously. It's the best investment you can make, that's for sure.
You bet. Well, Dr. Kim, there's so many of the products that just work hand in hand with the age pill. And I know, earlier today, this morning, you and I were talking about, we were going to talk about the TSX and the Brain Vitality and Super Omega and all these different things. And here it is. It's the bottom of the hour. We don't have time.
Well, we got something to talk about next time, don't we?
And we have the topic for next week. It's going to be part two, optimizing your health. What do you think?
Right. It sounds good to me.
Andrea, what do you think of that?
I think it's all amazing.
There you go. Well, thanks everyone for joining us, and Dr. Kim, thanks for being one of the speakers on the doctor's clinic call that we have here every Tuesday. And I know you've got some other docs that you're going to be bringing on board. I know this morning you were talking about Doc who might be sharing with us some information about maybe even some things about vaccinations. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
You bet.
And thank you, Dr.
everyone,
for inviting me.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dr. Kim. Thanks, Andrea, for hosting the call for us every week. And I'll get this recording posted on the YouTube channel. Until then, I'll get the copy out on Facebook and social media for everybody. And thanks. Have a wonderful week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hold on.